So, have you ever noticed something strange in your own daily interactions? There's this crazy paradox in human behavior where the more you try to explain yourself to the people around you, the less respect you actually seem to get. It's incredibly frustrating, right? But it's a cycle almost every single one of us falls into at some point. Picture this. You're late for work. You rush through the office doors, heart pounding, messy hair, and you immediately start rattling off excuses to your boss. You know the drill. The traffic was awful, the alarm didn't go off, the weather's terrible, your dog hid your keys. You explain exactly why you're late, completely desperate for them to just understand and let you off the hook. But that anxiety, it doesn't just stay at the office. It bleeds into the smallest, most insignificant choices. Imagine you're just at a local cafe trying to order a simple drink. Instead of just making a choice, you find yourself over-justifying it. You explain your decisions, detail by agonizing detail, basically hoping the barista and everyone in line approves of your logic. Man, it is so exhausting. Think about a time you tried to set a boundary. Maybe you just needed a relaxing weekend to yourself, so you couldn't help a friend out with a favor. Instead of politely declining, you go on and on, listing out your entire busy schedule just to prove you aren't a bad person. You burn so much mental energy in the process, desperately hoping they won't be mad. But here is the tragic irony of the whole shebang. After all that breath spent explaining, all that energy totally depleted, they actually question you even more. Over-explaining literally invites people to poke holes in your story. Instead of understanding you, they just push back harder. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. You gave them a massive target, and now they're aiming right at it. At the very core of this panic is one deeply held belief. If they understand me, they'll appreciate me. I mean, it sounds completely logical, doesn't it? We assume if we just give someone enough data, they'll empathize with us. But actually, scratch that. As we're learning from behavioral psychology, that is a fundamentally flawed assumption. Human brains just don't work that way. So what's actually going on under the hood? Well, it's all about the hidden message you're broadcasting. Every unnecessary explanation acts as this subconscious signal of weakness. Even if you never say those exact words out loud, your behavior is screaming, "I'm not confident my decision can stand on its own." And people pick up on that lack of confidence way before they process the words coming out of your mouth. Let's look at two totally different ways to handle a simple dinner invite. Imagine the frantic energy of a paragraph-long apology. "I'm so sorry, I'm just really tired because work has been super stressful, and yesterday I slept late and I have this thing." You can practically feel the nervous sweat, right? Now contrast that with a calm, warm decline. "I can't make it tonight," accompanied by a genuine smile. Boom. That's it. The first one begs for forgiveness. The second one radiates certainty. And certainty is magnetic. Okay, let's nerd out on the behavioral science for a sec. This is known as confidence signaling. It's a psychological principle where our brains constantly and unconsciously judge someone's certainty, not just their vocabulary. When you constantly justify things, people's brains naturally get suspicious. It's evolutionary. Their brain thinks, if you have to try this hard to convince me, maybe your reason isn't actually that strong. Think about it like this. Luxury brands do not beg. They don't explain their value every 5 seconds to convince you to buy them. They just exist. A Ferrari commercial doesn't list out 20 reasons why it's better than a Honda. It just shows you the Ferrari. The less approval someone seeks, the more valuable they appear. Confidence creates perceived value, and we unconsciously apply this exact same rule to human interactions. But why do we do this? We don't over-explain because we aren't smart. We usually do it because of a deep-seated fear of rejection, often starting in a lonely school hallway during childhood. Maybe you grew up constantly being criticized. Maybe every mistake had to be defended just to survive emotionally. Or maybe you learned early on that silence meant punishment, so you just started filling the air with words to keep yourself safe. So we grow up, and explaining just becomes automatic. It was a defense mechanism that kept you safe once upon a time. But now it's just exhausting. Suddenly, every opinion you hold, every purchase you make, every boundary you try to set feels like a fortress that has to be vehemently defended. And honestly, that is an incredibly heavy burden to carry around every single day. But then, a massive, literal game changer happens when you flip your internal script. Emotionally strong people stop asking, "Will they understand me?" And instead, they look inward and ask, "Do I understand myself?" When you make that one shift, everything changes. You stop relying on external validation. You realize your own approval is literally the only metric that matters. I'm not going to sugarcoat it though. At first, silence is going to feel incredibly uncomfortable. It's terrifying, especially if you've chased approval your whole life. When you set a boundary and then just let the silence hang in the air without rushing to fill it with excuses, wow, that quiet space can feel overwhelmingly intimidating. Your whole body will scream at you to just start talking. But push through that discomfort and watch what happens. A massive social shift occurs. You revoke people's ability to control your emotions through endless questioning. The dynamic completely flips. Manipulative people get super frustrated because their guilt trips just bounce right off you. Confident people, they become curious and drawn to your grounded energy. And emotionally healthy people simply respect your boundaries, no questions asked. Here is the absolute biggest takeaway. No is a complete sentence. You absolutely don't have to be cold, aggressive, or rude. Setting a boundary just means you're firm. You have to realize that not every single decision you make requires a full-blown courtroom defense. You are completely allowed to just exist and make choices for your own well-being. Sometimes just calmly walking away, picture our newly confident friend strolling down a warm golden hour street, speaks volumes more than winning an argument ever could. You don't have to stay in a tense situation just to prove your point or get the last word. Protecting your peace by removing yourself from toxicity, that is the ultimate power move. And here's a kind of hard truth we have to face. The people demanding endless explanations from you, a lot of the time, they were never actually trying to understand you in the first place. What they really wanted was control. They wanted to keep you on the defensive. Once you see that dynamic for what it is, you realize how absolutely futile over-explaining truly is. The journey from constant anxiety to real, grounded peace comes down to this one thing. The people who are respected the most aren't always the smartest or the loudest in the room. They just know exactly when to stop explaining themselves. Real confidence doesn't shout, it doesn't argue, and it certainly doesn't chase approval. It simply exists. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. What is one situation in your own life where you wish you had simply stayed silent instead of explaining yourself? Really think about it. And hey, please share it in the comments below. You might just realize you're not the only one navigating this crazy journey of personal growth. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll catch you on the next one.